There was sparks and attitude flying from Alec Murdaugh's defense team in the courtroom today, and we're going to talk about a few highlights of it in today's video. Hello Sofa Squad and welcome back to the sofa. That's the sofa behind me and my name's Paul, and our trusty sidekick Roscoe is, well, not on the sofa right now, but he is okay. So just know that he is here in spirit and in pillow. Now, as you heard from the little intro, we are going to be talking about some of the drama that went down in the courtroom today. So I am filming this actually after court. Not that I've been in court, but you know what I'm saying, like it's over with. And so I wanted to talk about this one specific piece because there's so many different things to talk about that I felt like it really showed kind of where some of the situation is and where it's left off at and so on and so forth. Now, tomorrow, which will be Wednesday the 1st, the jury will be going to the to Moselle to see, this place where this happened, which I think is an amazing idea. I think it needs to happen. So there is that. We'll be going live tomorrow on the other channel to follow it. If you haven't been hanging out with me watching the trial live and you want to, just check the description down below. Make sure you sign up for the other channel, and I schedule the lives over there. Anyways, so what we're going to be looking at today is Alec Murdaugh's defense lawyer. I think he goes by the nickname Old Poop these days, okay? And he is going to be questioning Mr. Rainey. Now, Mr. Rainey is, and I don't even want to say like a former partner or co-worker or whatever, because there is so many things that these former partners, co-workers were. I mean, it was like they were friends, family, partners, you name it. Estranged is a word I would use, right? So there's, that's how I would describe it. So this is during the whole section where the defense has rested their case. Now the state is doing their rebuttal. And now during this, we are seeing the defense get up there and question him. And you can just tell that it's about to go down. And so let's talk about some of the highlights of it.
Prepared to shoot them. So you would generally have some type of rifle and we with you, a long gun.
Objection, Your Honor. He's giving an opinion. He's not been qualified as an expert.
Objection overruled.
All right. You've had plenty of experience in killing hogs on your property?
Yes, I would disagree with Mr. Harpootly, and I am pretty much an expert about killing hogs.
All right. And you've had plenty of opportunity to go hunting with Paul?
Objection, Your Honor. I apologize to the witness.
Now, during this beginning part here where the state was asking him questions, and very quickly Mr. Poot was like, oh, he's not an expert. And he was like, oh, no. I would consider myself an expert. And then, you heard Mr. Poot's like, oh, well, I'm sorry. You already knew it was going down from there, right? Now, if you didn't watch it today in the very beginning, missed the defense, I got to quit calling him Mr. Poot. I'm sorry. It's just stuck in my head from watching it live. But the defense was basically like, look, objection, my goodness. The state wants to call 7 more witnesses. This is crazy. It's going to keep going on. And I do agree and disagree, right? Because I'm like, look, this is a very serious case. You've got to let it play out. But I'm also like, can we wrap it up? But of course the judge overruled that. I mean, imagine if he said no, right? I mean, of course he's not going to. So from that point forward, the defense was objecting left and right, and they were not having it with this witness being up there. So let's watch another clip or two of the state questioning him so we can lay the foundation.
To your observation, did Alec have a good relationship with the local law enforcement community?
My observation was had a very good relationship with, probably better than the rest of us, saving his father.
I legit was expecting him to be like, well, damn good relationship if you ask me. He's been covering up crimes for him for the last 2 decades. And I mean, honestly, that's what I was expecting. It was almost like a question that I was surprised the state even asked, to be honest. Well, I shouldn't be surprised that they asked it, but just of this dude right here. And if you watch the Netflix documentary, yes, I will be doing a video on that separately. You very quickly learn that, oh yeah, Alec had a very good relationship with local authorities.
Yes, as a couple months ago when we talked and you asked me what kind of lawyer Alec was, and I told you he was a good lawyer, and one of the things that I think I explained to you was that he was a theatrical type presence in the courtroom, and he could get very emotional doing closing arguments in front of a jury.
AKA he a drama queen, okay? So that right there, I was like, oof, that's gotta sting a little bit, right? And from there on out, I was like, now we have to see if he's gonna keep crying, right? But then I thought this to myself. I was like, well, Paul, if he stops crying, then he proves the dude's point. So now it's almost like he has to keep doing it. And I mean, he laid it on thick, right? And I felt like hearing that kind of testimony, and even this gentleman describing, well, yeah, you know what? Alec comes from a long line of theatrical type, elements being used in the courtroom from his father, his grandfather. This is their style. And we'll hear more about this later on when the defense is questioning him, but let's continue for now.
I hate to go here, but let's talk about hog hunting, which I know nothing about, okay?
You might not want to go there then.
I've been here so long, I think I probably do need to learn how to hog hunt. But
when they said hog hunt, I was like, oh my gosh. Y'all, we've all learned so much unnecessary information about hog hunting, like whether you're going to take the sport up or not now, right? I continually envision like Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind of a scene with these hogs they're describing. I mean, it's like the stuff of nightmares, right? I had no idea that this was such a prevalent thing. And so when he brought this up, I was like, oh my goodness, but you heard the little snip when the attorney in the stand was like, well, maybe you shouldn't go there then, son.
But daytime, you're riding around the property, you got a shotgun. You got a slug in that shotgun, or are you using birdshot?
You would shoot birdshot.
Okay. So if a hog came up, nothing you could do.
If a hog came into a dove field with a bunch of dove hunters,
Well, maybe
they
you're
would
on
shoot
your way.
at him regardless.
Maybe you're on your way to the dove field. The dove field's not right next to the house, is it?
Now this whole thing that went down with like well, maybe you're not at the dove field, but you're like on the way, you got a Starbucks, you're thinking about dove hunting, but then you see a hog, and I was like, oh my gosh, again. Can we go on any more about the damn hogs?
Now, is it your experience in people who undergo, maybe they're not hurt, but their loved one is hurt, maybe killed, in that situation, that's a traumatic experience for the surviving person, correct? To see their loved one killed?
Yes.
Okay. And so when you sit down with those folks and begin to recount with them what happened that night, oftentimes, I do a little work like you do, oftentimes those folks misremember or get times wrong, or because they went through this very traumatic experience, and the closer to that experience, the more likely they are to get some things wrong. Times, for instance. Is that your experience?
This part, I was like, ugh. This is where I started getting uncomfortable, right? Now, what he's talking about is, now remember this guy, this guy's still part of the firm, but this is part of the firm that Alec was, the family's firm, right? And so he's talking about the type of cases they do and whatnot. And you have these tragic events and how they can misremember, and you see the path he's going down, and I'm just like, why are you even doing this? Like, this is a bell that you can't unring. And that's kind of one of the things that I felt like the defense did in this questioning, is he rung a bunch of bells that he should not have been ringing, and this was one of them.
They can, but I also find that people who have been involved in traumatic experiences try to be very accurate with the details, because they know it's important to me representing them.
Okay, so I'm going to translate that. He's basically like, yeah, but they don't lie to their teeth like your client did.
He made the 911 call, whatever it was, I'm not quite sure. Before, I think is what you said. If that would be inconsistent with something he says later on, after having reviewed other people's statements, looking at video, that would not be unusual in your business. I think you just said it would not be unusual, correct? Look, strike that.
You're trying to take me somewhere that you probably don't want to.
Oh, no, I think I want to.
Answer the question.
Withdraw the question. Let me ask you this question. Maybe this gets to the meat of matter here. Have you had to come out of pocket to pay back the money he stole?
Woo! Mama Jama, fire hot. Chitty chitty, bang bang, hoo hee, ooh ah ah on that one. Okay. When that dude was like, I think you're going somewhere you don't want to go, son. And he was like, I think I want to go there. And he's like, strike that question. Let's get to the meat and potatoes. You know, have you had to pay out of pocket for the money he stole? I was like, what kind of rebuttal is that? Like, literally, and we're about to watch several clips here where I'm like, parts question, I was like, is the defense trying to get a conviction? Right? I was like, is he trying to get a conviction at this point with this line of questioning? Because here's one thing that will happen is when there's a huge difference with when you're seeing somebody who has integrity, some kind of moral compass, and things of that nature, and someone who doesn't, right? And you'll hear the things and statements that come out of this gentleman's mouth. And they're quite in contrast to not only things that we've heard Alex say, but actions that he has taken. And so when when the defense attorney is aligning himself with that, I just don't think he was doing himself any favors with a jury at all.
Yes, and if you...
How much? Don't tell me you don't know.
Well, we're still counting, Mr. Harpootlian.
Well, how much have you paid so far?
We have had to borrow millions to pay back.
No, how much have you had to come out of pocket?
Well, when you borrow it, you got to pay it back, and I couldn't tell you how much has exactly been paid back as of we sit here today. But yes, and if you're implying that I would come in here and somehow shade truth in any way because of that, I would take high offense with that, Mr. Harpootlian.
I'm concerned about your high offense. Are you angry at him for stealing your money?
I have no feeling one way or the other.
I don't have any feeling about Alec Murdaugh betraying you and stealing your money. I admire you. I don't know that I could look beyond that.
Objection, Your Honor.
Now, this lawyer is telling you everything you need to know about the type person that he is. Now, yes, he brings up a very interesting point. Of course, it would be like, you know, I mean, of course you're going to have feelings about that, which we will hear the gentleman describe. But he's also being very eloquent and saying, I take offense at this. But also it's like he's putting him on trial in this questioning. And it's like, at the same time, you're making Alec look even smuckier than he already is. And that's hard to do, right? But he's also not only making Alec look that way, he's making himself look that way, which is just not a good look, because it's almost like, you know what, me and Alec are of the same cloth. We're cut from the same cloth, right? We operate in the same manner, is how I read into this, right? Now, I'm not trying to accuse this attorney of stealing or doing anything like that, but just, being like, look, I couldn't look past that. I would essentially, I couldn't do that. I would probably get up here and do blank. He didn't say those exact words, but it's almost like implied by this line of questioning, but also the feigned anger where he's like, are you angry at him? And are you this and that? And blah, 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 blah. And it's almost just out of left field. But now you see what he's also doing. He's trying to get a reaction. He's trying to get him to be angry, because his only hope for someone like this with the kind of testimony is to discredit him.
You are not angry with Alec Murdaugh?
I have had anger with him, extreme anger, Mr. Harpootlian, because of what he did to my law firm, my partners, my client, his clients, our clients, what he did to his family, what he's did to so many people. Yes, I experienced a lot of anger. But you can't walk around with anger. You have to find a way to deal with it and move forward. And I have done that. And if you suggest, you are dead wrong if you think I've come in here and told this jury something because of money. When we're talking about two people who were brutally murdered, then you're headed in the wrong direction.
Do you think he did it?
Wow. And he really just laid it out there. I mean, it's like, look, you're trying to go down this path over here about money, and at the center of this are two people that have been brutally murdered, right? And that's the whole thing where it's just like, again, I just feel like the defense attorney is really just showing this card of himself that I'm like, I don't think you want the jury to see this, right? It's not winning any favors. Now, mind you, of course, the jury's instructed, you can't, and he said this at the beginning, if you take offense with things, don't take offense with them, take offense of them with me, not with Alec. But I'm sorry, you're his mouthpiece, right? You're an extension of him. And so by coming in and just diminishing the lives that he has damaged Alec, it's like he's putting it on blast even more. And by trying to question this guy, to me, it's just magnifying the depths of depravity in his own client.
I don't have an opinion. I don't have the benefit of the materials you have.
Now, I love that when he's like, do you think he did it? Almost like he was wanting him to say something to completely, you see, he wants to discredit him. He wants to show a bias. That's his only hope with this, because, I mean, the guy's just up here speaking the truth, and it's heartfelt, and that's something you really don't see from the Murdaughs.
Well, let me ask you this. You're angry with him, stole millions of dollars from your firm. You admit your firm's not even called the Murdaugh firm anymore, right?
It is not. I don't admit that I'm angry right now. I told you I've gotten away from that. I don't have any feelings because you can't walk around with anger. I have been very, very angry about it because of what he's done. And he did it in a very callous way, a very deceitful way.
Again, not the responses you're wanting someone to be saying about your client on the stand. This is when you just leave well enough alone.
And you carry no, I'm sorry, maybe I just saw some anger there. Were you angry just a moment ago?
I mean, so dramatic, right? I mean, if I was in the jury, I couldn't roll my eyes hard enough at that.
No, you keep trying to push a question and don't want to accept my answer, which is what it is.
That you've just given your zen, your nirvana, your whatever the...
Your Honor, objection.
Mr. Harpootlian,
forgiven him?
I came to the scene of these murders to support my partner. I was there. I saw things that hadn't even been talked about in this courtroom. I was there. I love Paul very much. I thought I knew who Alec was. I did not.
Again, this is the complete opposite of what he wants this guy to be saying, right? This was such powerful testimony to me. And when you try and get character witnesses up there, like, Alec's brother up there, stuff like that, this cancels that out. This is showing the hurt, the damage. And I mean, his own attorney to be up there, you had to change the name of the law firm. You had to do this. How much money out of your pocket have you had to pay? And I'm like, dude, this is just not what you think it sounds like.
And it's hard to you might not understand, but it's hard to walk around with anger, and hard to even walk around with it when it's with somebody who you didn't know and didn't understand. So you might have be that way, but I've got to function, I've got a family, I got to move on with life.
He basically just read him, but in like a really professional, like Southern dude kind of a way.
Were you aware that he went to rehab in 2017?
I was not,
Really?
other than what was said by Alec in this courtroom.
You never were aware he had a drug problem?
I was unaware.
I just find that so interesting because he just seemed to be so well at hiding it. Now, also in the Netflix doc, we hear from Paul's friends and whatnot, and former girlfriend and whatnot, who was around the house and is confirming that yes, she's seen Alex go through detox, stuff like that. And so the whole thing about the drug thing, it's almost like his behavior, the bizarre part of him, must have been so normalized and just tucked in at times that people didn't know this.
Sort of.
And if I would have been known, I would have tried to help him.
You indicated that he could be emotional in trying a case, correct?
He could be. He was theatric, much like his father and grandfather had a courtroom theatrics, and he could be emotional.
Any of your other partners that way? Johnny Parker?
No, Johnny's quite the opposite. Johnny's very
laconic, I believe, is the best way to describe it.
He doesn't show emotion.
Nobody else in your firm was theatric or emotional?
Not to Alec's level.
You don't know any other lawyers in the state that go to that level?
You're asking me a question right now. I don't know. You might yourself. I don't know. I don't know what other lawyers do. I'm usually trying cases against defense attorneys, so I don't get to see plaintiffs' lawyers anymore.
Again, he's getting all the wrong answers for what he would be looking for, because basically it's just like, this dude is a damn drama queen and I ain't seen the likes of it, right? That's what he's saying. And the defense is just trying here, so you don't know this, you haven't seen this? He's like, no, he turns it up, just like he's going to do in a minute when they start talking about gunshot stuff again. He's going to start bawling his eyes out. And I think, again, it's just another confirmation that people are sensing of, this guy has like a thing about him that he can turn these waterworks on and off when he wants to.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you for... Well, let me ask you one last thing. This Bullware guy that he stole all the money from? Mr. Bullware, remember him?
Yes, I remember him.
How much money did you steal from him? Do you remember?
He stole 70-something thousand in June of 2018. Mr. Boulware died in September, I believe, of 2018, and I believe another 270-something thousand after Mr. Boulware's death sometime in or around February of 2019.
Have you and your partners paid Mr. Boulware's estate or his folks back?
Yes, I met with them personally.
Okay. And even though it's cost you your firm and it's cost millions of dollars to you, you have forgiven him? You bear him no ill?
I didn't say I forgave him.
You're just not angry about it anymore.
I said I have no feelings. And I had to work on that, Mr. Hartpootlian. You know, when you go through what we've gone through, not only the trauma of losing people we loved in a double homicide, seeing the aftermath, and then learning that someone you worked with for more than 20 years had been stealing throughout a period of time and deceiving us, there's a lot of emotion there. And yes, it was bad in the fall of 2021, and I have found a way to have no feelings. It's not forgiveness, it's just I don't have
any. You're not angry here today. You're not angry at him at all.
I'm not angry.
Okay.
If I raise my voice, it's only because of the implication that you were trying to make out of it.
The implication that you might not want to help him in front of this jury here today because let me finish the question. Because he destroyed your firm. He stole millions of dollars you had to pay back. He deceived you. All that's away and is not influencing your testimony here today at all. If you'd answer that yes or no, then you can explain.
All those things happened, and it does not influence my testimony. I take the oath that I just took very seriously. And if you've got any indication that anything I said was inaccurate, I'll be glad to address it with you.
Well, the jury can judge that. Thank you.
I mean, just a bitter old queen. I mean, well, the jury can address that. I mean, or be the judge, that, whatever. I was like, my gosh. Again, I just felt like this guy held his own up there. He was very eloquent. He kept bringing it back to what they were there for. You know, Alex's attorney kept wanting to make it about money, about this, about that. You know, and it's a logical question to bring up, you know, like, are you bitter about this? You know, could this be retaliatory, that type thing? You know, are you not wanting to, you know, help him out in the stand, whatever. But at the end of the day, this is a case about two people who lost their lives in a brutal way, right? And so the fact that he kept bringing it back around to that and showing that was very powerful for me. But I also felt like him being able to keep his cool and then answer the questions. Now, yes, he did raise his voice. You could tell he was getting upset, and that's what this lawyer does. It's a tactic of his, and he did this all day long of upsetting these witnesses, right? And like really getting under their skin. He's just kind of a snake like that. So this is getting ready to all come to an end. I'm very curious what y'all think of right now. I'm not sure if you're going to be seeing this tonight or tomorrow morning, but either way, let me know what you think so far. And again, if you want to watch this live with me, the trial, just be sure to subscribe to the podcast channel. It's in the description below. And that's it. I do appreciate y'all being here. And until next time, we go around the sofa, the computer, and the camera. I'll see you soon.